Literally everyone here loves it.
Been outside, I've had like 2 banging songs already.
How you doing, dude?
You know what, mate?
It's been about 3 days?
3 days.
3 days, good. What's going on, guys? Brandon Hardin here. Hope you're having a great day. Just got to Elite Fitness with Mo. He's never been to the gym before, so it's pretty cool to like have him come to the gym that I always make videos at. So we're gonna be hitting a back and arm workout today, answering some questions for a Q&A for the most part of this video, but we thought we'd take you through a back and arm workout before we get into the questions. The Q&A is gonna be about natural lifting and unnatural lifting. Mo being the natural lifter and me being the not so natural lifter. We're gonna be answering questions, all that kind of thing, but first, we're gonna work out. Literally can't believe that I had no idea this was here, but if you have this pre-workout in your gym and you need to stay awake until like early hours of the morning, you should take this.
I'm gonna get some from my arsenal.
Yeah, this is
Without doubt, bro, the best gym in Birmingham.
you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And the atmosphere is really good, really nice size. I love the lighting as well.
Right now we're getting into the workout, already warmed up on lateral pull down. Rob set the last set. Now we're moving on to the first proper compound of this workout, which is bent over barbell rows. Probably gonna work up to 120 kilo on the bar. We're gonna go about 4 sets. Come on, you natural lifter. Let's go.
If I had this gym, I would gain at least 100k additional Instagram followers. Like, bro, look at this.
Dude, lighting's sick.
And slow reps, pulling through them lats, pulling through with your elbows. Beautiful, fucking easy. 4, smooth like butter, man. You're a fucking hydraulic piston, bro. Let's go, let's move that weight. 7, keep it going. 1 more on your own, and I want 3 negatives. There we go. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. There we go, down. Now 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, all you, 2, 1. Fucking beautiful. Let's this is it, last exercise. One fucking smooth, beautiful form. 1, 2, focus on that squeeze, please. There we go. That's it. 3, that's it, bro. 4, 7, fucking easy, Brandon. Let's go, man. 8, I want two digits, man. At least 10. 9, beautiful form. And again, get 12, get 12. Fucking get 12. You're outworking me, man. Being a champion is fucking easy. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. Pump that shit. Yeah. Fucking 6, man. Is that number 2 for you?
Come on, dude. Yeah, let's go. Just finished the back workout. Probably one of the best back workouts that I've had in the past like 6 months. This is Mo's first time in Redditch. It would be rude not to come here. I don't even need to tell you.
I like it around here, bro.
Can I get a lemon and herb quesadilla? 3 chicken strips, lemon and herb. Extra saucy. That's everything, mate. That'll do me nicely.
A quesadillo. Okay, we got a Pepe's quesadillo apparently, according to Brandon Harding. These aren't on the menu, and they're basically only at Pepe's because of Brandon. So we'll give it a go. Bro.
It's so good, right?
Why aren't these everywhere, dude? Why aren't these everywhere, man?
We want to get some more quesadillas.
Right now we're going to do a Q&A, but it's going to be more of a conversation, and this is probably one of the most anticipated videos in the fitness industry to date because it's a conversation that no one's having, and I feel like it's important to have this because it's a conversation between a natural lifter versus an unnatural lifter. For personal preference and for the knowledge of like beginner lifters or people that are considering going to the dark side or the next realm, it's going to be important to see a discussion between 2 people on either sides of the spectrum. I feel like now would be a good time to have a conversation, and the way we're going to do this is by answering some questions that I asked you guys to ask me a couple of hours ago. So we're gonna get straight into it. In no particular order, these are the questions. Some are gonna be aimed at me because they're asking certain questions about use and stuff that Mo hasn't yet experienced, probably will never experience, but he will not be able to answer some of the questions, but we're gonna have a discussion about it either way. He's gonna jump in whenever.
My name's Mo Samuels. I've been training for 7 years. I've never taken any kind of anabolic steroid, fat burning, thermogenics, anything like that. So I would class myself as a natural athlete. Just turned 22 years old.
Me, if you are new to the channel, I am 21 years old. I've been training since I was 16, so I've been training 5.5 years right now. I have been unnatural for about 1.5 years now. I started when I did my first competition, before the competition for a little bit, then during, and then ever since that, I've been going on that path. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Are you satisfied / ready to deal with the current or possible consequences of steroid usage? I've been really lucky because I haven't experienced really any side effects. I feel like when I first started, when it was new and it was introduced to my system, I got a little bit of spots on my back, not acne, not anything like that,
Yeah,
but I experienced like a little bit, and it was definitely noticeable to my friends and family and in some of the YouTube videos, but it was never anything that became a serious problem. I never had to take any medication to get rid of it. Side effects wise, mentally, I've never experienced any sort of anger increase. I don't think I've ever taken anything harsh enough to affect my mental state. So physically, a little bit on the back, but nothing crazy, and mentally, I have never experienced any, you know, anger, anxiety, anything like that. There are a lot of friends, I do have a lot of friends that have experienced that kind of thing. I've just been one of the lucky ones or haven't taken what they may have taken. Would you recommend taking PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, if it doesn't benefit your career, i.e. an office job?
Straight off the bat, no. I wouldn't even recommend someone to do them. You want to build like a good base and a good kind of level of muscle maturity first. Like people that I know that are taking stuff too early have like regretted it massively because they could have made so much more gains naturally, then introduce something first.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Short answer, no. Obviously there's like negative health effects, and I think like for me personally, the only place where steroids should be appropriate is if they improve your quality of life. So for example, let's say you're really old and then adding testosterone is like a replacement therapy. Or you get on stage and you want to be the next Mr. Olympia because you are not going to get to Mr. Olympia by having
an office job. Would not recommend doing steroids if it's not going to benefit you. If you have an underlying problem with your health and you need to take performance enhancing drugs to either replace something that your body's not producing, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you think that it will benefit you financially, let's just say you've got a good couple years of training behind you, you've been training 4 or 5 years naturally, and you think to go to the next step, or you're about to step on stage against people that will be using performance enhancing drugs, because that's the only time personally I believe steroids to be acceptable. For an egotistical reason, I wouldn't recommend it, because it's not about being the biggest guy in the room, but if you're going to be stepping on stage next to people that you know are going to be doing this stuff, you're going to have to do what they do to be on the same level. Otherwise, you may as well just not step on stage, because unless you're competing in a natural federation, the harsh truth is you're going to lose.
Like Brandon said, I think if you're not taking it for competing reasons, the reason you're probably going to take gear is for your ego. I think it's a terrible idea because you're not actually fixing the problem, you're just like masking it, putting on loads of muscle.
If you're not going to benefit, if you're not completely comfortable with the sacrifices and like the side effects that could possibly happen with the decision you're about to make, if you don't see any substantial benefit with that decision, then I wouldn't recommend it, no. How should you train as a natty versus enhanced?
So if you're taking certain steroids, protein synthesis is going to be upregulated for longer longer. So people on steroids can get away with doing things like arm days, for example, and training body parts more sparsely throughout the week and still get good results from it. For example, I try and train muscle groups very frequently. So if you're a beginner, for example, like full body splits are really good, upper lower splits, things where you're hitting a lot of muscle groups at one time, if that makes sense, rather than individual muscle groups. I do something similar to push-pull legs rather than doing like an arm day or like a shoulder day, you know? Something like push-pull legs where you're hitting a lot of muscle fibers, you're hitting a lot of muscle groups in a session. Like,
Just how you train.
dude, it's complicated as fuck.
I know.
I do upper, lower, push, it's very hard. Okay.
We've got time.
All right, I do a power building split where I do powerlifting type stuff once a week, and then I train everything once a week doing powerlifting type movements, so heavier weight, higher intensities.
Yeah.
And then I do everything once a week doing more bodybuilding type movements, so higher reps, lighter weight.
Muscle is a byproduct of strength, but also strength is a byproduct of muscle. So for him, he's fighting trying to have intensity to break down the muscle fibers, but he's also trying to get stronger at the same time. So with him, he can't just do a bunch of reps and gets big. He needs to be training with heavy weight so his muscles have an excuse to grow.
I don't do individual days, like I don't do things like arm days, just because as someone that doesn't take shit, my protein synthesis isn't gonna be elevated or upregulated as long as someone like Brandon. If Brandon goes into the gym and does an arm day, it's just a figure randomly off the top of my head, his protein synthesis might be elevated for, let's just say a random number, 3 or 4 days, where my protein synthesis is only upregulated for like 72 hours max. After you finish training, you grow in the recovery period basically. Your muscles are gonna be synthesizing proteins to repair the damage. If you use drugs, you're gonna be synthesizing those proteins for longer. One more thing really quickly, although research has shown that training with the same amount of volume compared to, I'm not gonna go into that, fuck that.
We want it to be fast.
This is why I don't do these, bro.
How do you know when you've hit your natural potential? When does the day come where you're just like, dude, I've been training for 5 years now and I haven't gained a single pound? I feel like that's how Max tuning feels. Maybe Max will watch this video. Dude, I think it's about time.
If you were to make a graph, like time at the bottom and then strength and size along this axis here, when you first start lifting, you make loads and loads and loads and loads of gains. And then as time goes on, you start to make less and less and less gains and less strength gains as your body kind of gets used to it and you near your natural potential. I think the definition of natural potential is going to be when you're like no longer making any kind of size or strength gains. There's always room to make small improvements, but basically depending on individuals and genetics and stuff like that of training, there'll be a time where you basically make the gains that you made in like a couple of weeks in your first year of training might take you like another year to make after you've been training for a certain length of time.
From stories that I've heard from other people and people that I know that go to the gym and that are a little bit older, they have found that they reach their natural limit after around 8 to 10 years of lifting. That's when they feel like they've made no more strength gains and their physique isn't really changing unless they decide to, you know, drop or increase carb, drop or increase cardio, which is basically getting leaner and holding more body fat. That's what's going to make your physique look different, but they're not actually increasing their muscle mass or gaining any more strength unless on a cut or a bulk. But for personal preference, I think, because I can't give this, you know, scientific analysis now, I'm not natural anymore, I never will be for the rest of my life, and that's something that I have to be okay with.
I think it depends on a lot of things, like your genetics is obviously like a huge one as well.
Genetics.
And personal definition of natural potential, like obviously your training isn't going to be 100% optimal. So your training might go downhill a little bit, then you make it optimal again, then you'll make the gains again.
Yeah.
But that isn't you suddenly putting on more gains, it might just be training optimally again. With absolutely no science backing this up, and we haven't researched any of these questions before, this is just off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
Years of optimal training, I'd say somewhere between 5 to 10 years.
You're waking up every
training.
day, you're prepping your food, you're training.
Training is perfect, your diet is perfect.
Are doing everything humanly possible.
So I'd say 5 to 10 years,
5 to
maybe
10
even like up to 15 years, you know, if you're like someone like Simeon Pan, for example.
Yeah, but if you do... This is the most bro science Q&A. How can you tell when you've reached your steroid potential?
Okay, right, when you take every single steroid known to man at the maximal possible dose. There's a thing called an LD50, Google it if you don't know what it is. When you take all the steroids known to man at the maximal dose just below the LD50, that's when you have reached your steroid potential. That's basically an experiment when half of everything dies from taking a drug, so you want to take just below that.
Alright, next question, this is going to be short and sweet. The difference in diet versus a natural lifter and an unnatural lifter.
Okay, there's a few things that I've noticed. People that take gear, they typically have less dietary fats in their diet because fats are used to synthesize hormones, things like testosterone. And obviously if you're getting those anabolics from elsewhere, you don't need to synthesize them yourself. So I've noticed fats are quite often a lot lower in people that are on steroids. Another thing that I've noticed, although I'm not sure if it's 100% necessary, is a lot more protein. I don't think people need quite as much as they have.
Definitely more calories. Personally, I think that people that are taking performance enhancing drugs, yes, what you just said, fat is not as needed, but carbohydrates, protein, calories in general are something that has to be drastically increased because your body is going into overdrive, I do believe you do need to consume more calories, and you can consume more calories. Protein synthesis in your body is working exponentially. You can consume so much more protein than someone that is natural.
Especially things like fat burning thermogenics. So if you're using those, your caloric requirement is going to be much higher because they boost your metabolism effectively. So you're going to require more calories because of what the drug is doing to you. Also, as someone that uses gear is going to have more muscle mass, they're going to require more calories in order to maintain that muscle mass.
Next question, what mood changes have you encountered since you stopped being natty? Are you getting angry easier, sadness, or depression? Like I said earlier, I haven't experienced these side effects yet. I do feel like the reason I haven't experienced these side effects is because I'm aware of what I'm doing and I'm not using what I use to enhance my physique as an excuse to get angry. I believe a lot of people use the term roid rage as an excuse just to get angry and to throw things around and use that as an outlet for what they're going through in life. I have developed the ability to check myself and understand that my temper may be a little bit shorter than someone else's, so I'm aware of that. So I purposely hold my tongue and adapt to certain situations, as I believe anyone that is taking performance enhancing drugs should do, because it's a personal choice. People in my life and my friends shouldn't suffer for my actions because of something I'm deciding to do for myself. I should be aware and mentally prepared to check myself in certain situations based on my personal choice. So I think that anger and depression as an underlying problem may be something you haven't yet discovered yet in yourself, may be discovered through, taking performance enhancing drugs, but you need to be aware that this is a real thing before you decide to start taking things like that. What can an unnatural lifter do that a natural lifter can't? What do you think you can't do that I can? Or do you think
when they're absolutely dick skin shredded, an unnatural lifter can get a boner? If you're unnatural, you're going to be a whole lot stronger. You're going to have generally higher energy levels.
The basic things, it's obvious. If we take things to cut body fat, we're going to be able to drop body fat faster.
Retain more muscle.
We're going to be able to retain more muscle. Obviously, it's a bit harder for a natural lifter, but it's nothing different. There is no difference between what a natural lifter and a natural lifter can do. For the most part, natural lifter can do is the same as what an unnatural lifter can do. It just takes longer. Last question is going to be a question that I believe should have been asked, but I'm actually going to just answer it myself. It wasn't asked. The question that I wish was asked: would you recommend taking steroids, and when would you recommend taking them? From personal experience, I would not recommend taking any performance enhancing drugs. You don't have to. I personally believe that I made a mistake in taking steroids to pursue a goal that I had from my childhood. I could have entered that competition completely naturally and I would still be natural to this day. I do believe that. It's hard to say do I regret it, because I don't. I've been very lucky. I haven't had any side effects that have made me feel like I have to regret it. It's been a great experience for me. I haven't experienced side effects. My physique has progressed. I placed second in my first ever bodybuilding competition. I've only done one. I'm doing one. I'm starting prep in the next 5 days. To say I regret it, no. But you don't have to. You can achieve an incredible physique completely naturally. Look at Mo. You've seen the workout before this video. Would you not want to attain that physique as a natural athlete? Good amount of muscle. You're going to walk on the beach and girls are going to be like, shit, you look good, and you're completely natural. You can achieve that naturally. Personally, it would have been nice for me to have attained that and achieved that naturally, but it's just not what happened for me. That's not my story. That's not what happened. So I have the cards that I have now, and I have to live with them, and I have to deal with that. If you are going to take them, I would recommend that you build a foundation. You need to be training naturally at least 5 years. Mine was 4.5, but at least 5 years. Reach some sort of natural potential. If you stop taking steroids for a prolonged period of time, you're going to lose muscle mass and probably go back to where you left off to a certain degree. So you're going to need that foundation to fall back on.
Don't take them as a quick fix.
Yeah, don't take them as a quick fix. You've been training 6 months, you're just going to jump on a cycle just because you want to look massive now. Personal story, there's someone down my gym literally 2 years ago who was 16 years old. He called me up because he wanted to know about fitness and stuff, but he really wanted a conversation about that. And he was literally just like, dude, should you start taking stuff? I hadn't yet taken stuff because it was like 2 years ago, but it blew my mind. I was like, 6 months, dude. I've been training 4 years and I still haven't done it. So you don't need to. If you want to take that step, if you're fully aware of the effects and what it could do to you, then that's your choice. But build a foundation first. That's my answer. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just made this video.
Bro, you're like an astronaut. stepping foot on the moon for the first time.
Alright then guys, so right now I'm going to end this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and you learned something and you can take something away from this. Obviously, it's all relative to the amount of time I've been training and Mo's been training. This is not the optimal scientific approach to learning if you should or shouldn't. This is our personal experience with a little bit of scientific twist from Mo. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been a video I've been trying to make for a while, wanted to make, just never got around to it, but I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. So with that being said guys, I'm going to end this video here. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, join the Don Squad. Thank you Matt Sharp _ for being part of the Don Squad. If you haven't already, please subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.